Hey guys, it's Cody with Evolution. Now, I'm just wanting to give you a small sample of my actual personal library. See if I can get spun around to being a halfway decent lice horse here. Hey, check that out. I'm a geek. Anyway, Cody with Evolution here. Like I said, I was showing you a very small snippet of my daily library. Those are the books that I'm going to grab almost every single day or every single week whenever I'm going to write your programs, write up meal plans, change my coaching approach, or whenever I'm working with other trainers to help them do the same. Now, I mentioned that last bit for a very specific reason. As I posted on Facebook about, and some of you talked with me about, I do a lot of consultation with other trainers, both for business development and to help them with individual clients or with their overall approach to training. Now, I was having a conversation with a trainer who, up to this point, I thought was very adept at the craft, was a very good coach, was very knowledgeable about the science of personal training. But he said three things that really struck me and that really kind of made me take pause and maybe want to think about and ask y'all about some ideas that I've had. Now, he brought up 3 points that he knew were actual facts. Number one, he said that he knows that women are incapable of building muscle. Number two, he knows that stretching or static stretching is valueless and takes time away from more effective and more useful training modalities. And number three, he pointed out that it is impossible to, I'm trying to stabilize the camera here. It is impossible to overtrain. It is only possible to under recover. Now, I do want to hit these points A, B, and C, and then go into the way they were presented. Number one, the idea that women can't put on muscle. That's just not true. Now, I looked through some of those books that you all saw at the very beginning, and I made a few text messages, a few phone calls, spoke to some people. It turns out that despite the testosterone difference between men and women, it's still possible for a woman's muscles to experience hypertrophy because that's the only thing muscles can do to adapt. Now, there are different types, and there is different tendency towards overall hypertrophy in the muscles man to woman. But women can put on muscle because they have to, because that's how muscles adapt. If they didn't adapt in that way, you're not looking at a muscle fiber. Sorry. Number two, the idea that you can't really stretch and have that be a valid training modality. That is falsifiable on several fronts. Number one, hormonally. It has been shown in several studies, and I'll post those if anybody's interested in those. If you do static stretching after a workout, and you stretch for a time which will not tend to induce hypermobility in a joint, meaning the muscle is weakened or the flex response around a joint is weakened, you will see a decrease in cortisol. You will see an increase in oxygen uptake of the muscle. You'll see a decrease in soreness of the muscle, and you will see an increase in absolute recovery and a decrease in the recovery time. So that means you'll be able to train more often, you'll be able to train with greater frequency, and you'll be able to train with fewer injuries. This is all documented. This is based on anecdotal evidence, which led to a bunch of peer-reviewed studies. Number three, the idea that you cannot overtrain, you can only under-recover. That's true, but it's true on a curve. Not a bell curve, but a curve nonetheless. If you are overtraining, that means your training load is exceeding your recovery load. So when I say recovery, what does that mean? I'm talking about your sleep, I'm talking about nutrition, I'm talking about things like stretching or non-training therapeutic modalities, which will tend to improve the overall function of the body. That's true to a point, but there is a point from which you cannot recover. If you're training, say, 3-4 times a day, and you're doing that day in, day out, and you're not recovering 100% from each of those training sessions, and the idea of recovering 100% is something we'll cover in a later video because technically it's not really necessary, but if you're training that much, you have to have a full recovery from either a training type. So if you're lifting 3 times a day, you're probably going to cause some injury. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. The biggest thing is inflammation. Whenever you train, you're going to create an inflammatory response. But there's a lot of other things to go into that. And I'm starting to ramble, so I want to kind of get to the points I was making. The way these 3 facts were presented to me, the fact, number 1, women cannot experience hypertrophy. Number 2, that stretching is valueless. And number 3, that you cannot overtrain, you can only recover. I was immediately presented with a client by this trainer who broke his observations, meaning everything that he just told me was a fact was falsified by this client and this client's experiences. In this, he also said, Cody, how can I have both this belief, my knowledge of how the body works, and evidence that it doesn't happen the way that I think? Because I can't believe that a woman can put on muscle. I can't believe that stretching has value. And I can't believe that it's possible to train to a point from which you can't recover. And it wasn't so much a question of, okay, where was my mistake? Did I make a mistake? Am I interpreting this facts wrong? He was literally asking me to bolster his belief in the face of competing evidence. I've never had that experience before. It's always been my education, always my attempt to find parts of my thought processes, parts of my belief systems, parts of my approaches that are incorrect. I'm always attempting to falsify whatever I'm doing. I've never thought about trying to bolster a belief whenever I find evidence to the contrary. Even if it makes me angry, I was taught that if you try and falsify it, you'll find a much stronger, more effective, more useful belief system. I'm still kind of, I don't know what I want to ask or what I want to say about that. So I need y'all's input. Can you either post a video response or make a comment down below? Tell me what ideas, what thought processes can lead to you wanting to maintain a belief system, especially in a scientific realm, whenever you are presented with evidence to the contrary. Guys, I appreciate you listening to me ramble. I had a whole bunch of points, got my little board down there telling me what to say, and I just kind of went off of that. So thank y'all so much for watching. Talk to you shortly.